Hello. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Dee. I am a virtual narrator of this 8-minute presentation video. In this video, I am presenting a research paper titled The Electronicists: Techno-aesthetic Encounters for Nonlinear and Art-Based Inquiry in HCI. This paper has been written by Dr. Leo Kang, Dr. Steve Jackson, and Dr. Trevor Pinch and published in SIGCHI 2022. Also, this work has an online exhibition space. Please visit www.leakong.com/electronicists if you would like to find the audio-visual data of this study. Okay then, let's get started. Over the past decade, Leo's research work focuses on this question. How can art practice be a proper and beneficial model for learning, teaching, and conducting research in HCI and the broader STEM fields? And these are our research package answering this question. In our first paper, Intermodulation, published in SIGCHI 2018, we talked about how we can theoretically understand and define improvisation and art practice. In the next paper, published in CSEW 2021, we talked about how we can use this idea for learning and teaching for HCI and design. And finally, through this paper, we are going to talk about how we can conduct a HCI research through artistic engagements. And, of course, this is not only our concern in the HCI community. Over the past couple of decades, a growing number of scholars in computer science and HCI have engaged in diverse research topics through more situated, materially driven and aesthetic ways, which we call nonlinear in this talk. This itself is a part of longer engagement of the intersection between computing and the art, which goes back many decades. From electronic music to avant-garde to various art and engineering projects, there have been many people who explore interdisciplinary practice between art and technology. However, there is still a limited understanding of art practice and how it works as a mode of inquiry in HCI and the STEM fields. As recent literatures around alternative design approaches point out, comparatively little theory and method exists for grasping and employing these growing artistic and alternative movements, and for explicating their relation to other modes of inquiry. We also see this as a kind of problem in our community because there are numerous practitioners in the broad STEM fields eager to employ artistic skills, sensibilities, and modes of expression alongside more narrowly and traditionally academic work in a conventional disciplinary sense. For these nonlinear learners, practicing art is a crucial method not only for stimulating their creative thinking processes, but also for supporting the affective and psychological dimensions of their academic life and identity. Therefore, we decided to build a theoretical and methodological framework of techno-aesthetic encounters that supports nonlinear and art-based modes of inquiry in HCI and the broader STEM fields. For this, we first investigate recent literatures in HCI and science and technology studies that explore nonlinear modes of practice and creativity in processes of technology design, which involve situated, materially driven, and multisensory modes of learning and making. These literatures showed how much human cognition and activity, including the frequently more formalized practices of engineering and design, cannot be understood as simple and linearized process, but are better grasped and approached as a rich set of activities in which diverse socio-material participants intertwine in both logical and multisensory ways. We then studied three renowned hybrid practitioners, Billy Kluver, Nam-June Paik, and Bob Moog, in the late 20th century who actively blended art and engineering practices in producing their works. Through this study, we could learn really interesting and often overlooked perspectives about engineering and design. For example, this is how Bob Moog thought about the relationship between human and computational instruments. I'm going to read one of his quotes. The musician instrument system contains a multiplicity of complex feedback loops, so complex, in fact, that contemporary technology has so far not been able to analyze or characterize the nature of the instrument-musician interaction with precision or completeness. Thus, it is not possible to design a musical instrument by beginning with an objective set of performance specifications. Rather, a musical instrument design usually begins with a designer's intuition. To understand this topic more empirically, we studied a project of our own, the Electronicists, in which 11 participants from different fields teamed up to produce 3 hybrid works. Through this study, we also learned that, Much of the aesthetics and crossover work can be conceived as a production of a complex socio-material collaboration. So, based on these studies, we finally suggest a model of techno-aesthetic encounter that explores event-based creativity, especially by organizing and participating in an interdisciplinary event, where engineering, aesthetic, and humanistic practices come together to open a new object and inquiry space. Understood separately, the engineering practices deployed here involve linear and systematic forms of inquiry focused on problem solving and developing technological functions, like designing electronic circuits, composing computational flowcharts. Art practice involves more intuitive and multisensory approaches that explore the work's aesthetic dimensions rather than following clearly logical and deductive methods. For example, painting, crafting, dancing, musical improvisation can be in this category. Humanistic practice involves reflective learning and analytic writing, articulating the work's conceptual ideas and connecting them to wider academic discussions. The main goal of techno-aesthetic practice is not simply to combine the known merits of these practices. Instead, it intends to explore more creative HCI inquiries through alliance, competition, and occasional moments of unity between these now largely separated approaches. Finally, someone may ask, why is it important to explore nonlinear and art-based modes of learning and making? Well, as a growing number of HCI researchers echo, nonlinear practice can help these practitioners explore unique creativities for broad computing and engineering works. Nonlinear modes of inquiry, like our techno-aesthetic encounters, can also help us respond to uncertain and emerging socio-technical problems in more critical and humanistic ways. Better support for nonlinear practices may also further efforts at learning inclusion and diversity, providing opportunities for researchers and contexts less well served by existing traditions of work in HCI and the broader STEM fields. For example, nonlinear practice may support more inclusive modes of research and design for those with non-normative learning styles or distinct learning challenges. For those with ADHD, complex neurological conditions, like synesthesia, or simply different kinds of minds, this approach can provide alternative modes that support entry into STEM-related subjects in more flexible and self-defined ways. Thank you for watching this video, and thanks for listening to my not fully humanized narration. If you have any questions, you may reach out to Leo at lk423@cornell.edu or Steve at sjj54@cornell.edu.